We are so infinitely more efficient and able to respond to tickets faster.
25 years ago, Earney IT started as one person answering support calls. Today, it's a thriving North Carolina MSP, posting 40+% growth year after year.
There's a clear standard of what we're offering to them, and it's aligned with what they need from compliance.
In this episode, we're unpacking how a scrappy operation transformed into a streamlined, security-first business powered by Kaseya.
We're seeing a 70% overall reduction in the number of tickets that our help desk is actually having to deal with.
This is how Earney IT built a business that scales without losing what made it great in the first place.
25 years in the business. I bet you've seen a lot. Tell me a little bit about how Earney IT has evolved over the years.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been a journey. So I would say the business originally started out just as myself, really, just supporting clients that needed, computer support. I took care of my clients really well. Had very little attrition, so our clients were very happy with the work we were doing, but we weren't growing, right? And so as time progressed, we got into managed services. That industry changed. You can think about how the cloud became much more prevalent. We had solutions in a ton of different vendors all over the place. I mean, we were tracking stuff in Excel. It was a mess. Started to realize that we needed to make some changes in how we approached IT, and really decided it was time to make some bigger changes. I had a previous partner, made some adjustments there, and then really restructured the business in 2019, 2020, almost started from scratch. So cut it down to the core, our 40% roughly clients that were left, and just rebuilt from there, from the ground up. And it has been phenomenal growth since then, and Kaseya has been a part of that.
Cool. Can you tell me a little bit about that growth that you've seen since maybe 2019?
I would say we switched from the traditional IT provider that just, fixed problems and took care of issues, right? Like clients would call in, we handle them, to really being much more proactive. And what that meant is our stack had to evolve with that. It was time to rebuild and focused on first operations, the stack, how are we going to run this thing? We had solutions like IT Glue. It's like, man, we got to have good documentation in place. Taking processes, we moved to Autotask. So that was a huge transition for us, moving to that solution, then creating contracts, putting everything in Autotask and having it, our clients sort of centralized there. And then building off of that with Datto RMM. So those three together were sort of the perfect mix, if you will. And we just started building from there. As we expanded our pricing and packaging to our clients, we realized there were needs in the market. And so it just seemed like at every turn, Kaseya had a solution for us, and we were able to put it in. And then that worked really well with what our clients were asking for. And so we went from 4 or 5 products to now we have 35, 40 total in our stack that's built out and we're delivering to our clients.
Yeah. Could you tell me maybe a little bit about an efficiency gain that you've seen, maybe of the three, the trifecta, Autotask, IT Glue, and Datto RMM together?
I mean, look, every owner talks about the importance of efficiency, and in this age of AI, it's absolutely critical. But I think we have seen it. And I was actually thinking about this. Sometimes the efficiencies that we've already gained, we're not really aware of. And so it's hard for me when I look back at where we were maybe just 6 years ago, it's almost incredible because we are so infinitely more efficient and able to respond to tickets faster. That gave us a competitive advantage. So, just Autotask, being able to track issues. Then in Glue, having our technicians be able to get information real time and then get answers to our clients and have that, the results. And at the end of the day, it's allowed us to grow without having to continually just throw a technician at a problem, right? And it's really worked out well for us. And I think, when we talk about high-level decision-making as a business owner, right? I think a lot of us started out, we're in the help desk. We're taking calls. We're responding to tickets. And in the early days, I did, that was a large portion of the work that I did. And what I've seen is now, and it's almost hard to imagine, but now my time is freed up to have an opportunity to go to conferences, to learn more about our industry, to really be making strategic decisions that affect the business. And as a result of that, I'm able to step back, right? I don't have to spend all this time on all the nuance, all the little details. And then it's really given the people who are responsible for that ultimately, beyond me, to step up. And now they're learning faster, they're learning more, and I've enabled them now to make better decisions, and we've given them that information. So I think it's absolutely, strategically, it's benefited us. I've grown, right? If I look at me from 5, 6 years ago versus now, it's not even the same person. Like I'm just so I'm thankful that I've been able to kind of step back, and the efficiency gains, the solutions have all really made part of that possible. Because otherwise I'd be in there micromanaging everything. Yeah. I mean, that first year we had 40+% growth, right? And I was like, that's great. I really like this. Then the next year it was 67% growth. And the other year, just in 25, we had 39% growth. And so we're on track again this year for another 40% growth year. And we want to keep that up. That's our plan.
That's incredible.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about how your clients are looking at cybersecurity nowadays.
We have to have every one of our clients protected. And the economy of scale, we would not have been able to do that 5 years ago. Our clients couldn't have afforded some of the solutions that are now on market. And I think SOC is a great example of that, but monitoring solutions, the Office 365 environment, I think SaaS alerts is being part of that is another piece that is absolutely critical. So protecting the entire infrastructure is really important. And kind of bundling this all together to where it talks and communicates, and we have each and every endpoint protected. And that's just a side thing. For us, putting everything together in a unified package gives them the best protection. With Kaseya 365, it really is that economy of scale. So now it is just the standard default. Like we've got it on everything, right? So being able to protect even our base clients has taken that protection level that wouldn't have been economically feasible. And now we're talking, if you're just a small business, you're going to get these protections in place because it's sort of now the new baseline. And it's been a huge competitive advantage, might add, because our clients that aren't offering it, we come in, we say we can protect at this level, and here's our base entry point. Really, that's a competitive advantage for us too.
Tell me a little bit about how your clients are looking at cybersecurity nowadays.
Yeah, I think, most of the conversations that we're having now, there's general concern about what they're seeing with AI. I think everyone talks about what AI is doing to the market. And what we're seeing is just a steady increase of, phishing attacks and all sorts of other things on our client base. So the importance of good cybersecurity has not diminished. It's only increased, with the passage of time. We thought maybe, well, looking in the future, these solutions would solve all the problems like with AI, but now we're seeing an increase. So we have to combat that. We have to have really good technical solutions in place. We have a great SOC team that's able to respond, while we're sleeping, because our teams don't work 24/7. Having a SOC team that is monitoring what's going on that you can't see, right? Because sometimes there's so many alerts and so many things that can come in, and we do a really good job of triaging it. But we had a situation where we had an executive, they were traveling, and we knew they were traveling, and that was marked in our system. Person hadn't even left the country yet. They had been at the airport, they had logged in, they got some kind of phishing attempt and put in their credentials. And so it was kind of, to be honest, from our part, ignored, right? But then the SOC team actually noticed a login from another country. And to understand what that did, I mean, they shut down everything really fast and locked them out of the account. And we were able to really get an assessment of what's going on. Now, I'll just mind you that had they not caught that, this person would have traveled out of country anyway. We wouldn't have necessarily known it. They're well known. So you have both the reputation component of this, plus access to all that information. So we were able to validate with the SOC team that no information was accessed, and it was done in such a quick turnaround that we felt really good with the outcome. And I have story after story where situations like that have played out. And, I don't think, that our team could have responded quick enough or would have even had eyes on what they were able to catch. Mind you, we've had several times where things have come up after hours. It always seems to be 8 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night, right? And the SOC team's been on it and had quick response. And that process has saved us time and time again.
So when SOC saves the day, do you have that conversation with clients then afterwards to tell them like, "Hey, this is what we caught"?
Yes, absolutely. And I think, the client's logged out of their account. So at some point, one would hope they're going to have some communication with us, right? So we're going to be talking to them and using that opportunity to really to kind of share the win, if you will, to get ahead of it and to say, hey, this is what happened. This is really good that like this is bad on one hand, what happened, but this is really good that the team was able to catch it. And this is why these services are so incredibly important. So yes. One of the things we've seen since rolling out our security stack, and this is really to all of our clients, is our endpoint count with all that growth that we've had has gone steadily up. And it used to be that our help desk team was overwhelmed with all the little security tickets, all these little things. And now with the addition of the SOC team and Rocket Cyber and really dialing everything in, we're seeing our endpoints go up, but we're seeing a 70% overall reduction in the number of tickets that our help desk is actually having to deal with. And so when you look at that number and you look at it from a comparison standpoint, that is massive efficiency gains because I don't want our team to have to be spending all this time going through tickets, reviewing and trying to figure out, is this relevant? Is this not relevant? So now they get to spend their time on actually helping clients.
Earney IT has a lot of healthcare clients. Can you tell me a little bit about how our tooling helps you with the compliance conversations that you're having?
Oh, absolutely. We went from kind of dreading some of those conversations because now they circled around, okay, we have to sell a new product. We have to push this and maybe we get some pushback from the decision makers, the doctors or the office managers. Now it's kind of flipped to where we're actually, we're saying, well, look, you already have all of these things. So now inherently you are compliant because you're meeting all of these standards. So that has been really encouraging. So when we go to have these conversations, we get to say, hey, you're doing really good. Versus before it was like, man, we got a long way to go. So I enjoy that as a business owner. I appreciate that part. Also, the biggest impact, and this directly affects our medical providers, is when they go to get their cybersecurity coverage or their insurance, and they're having these conversations with them. And now all of a sudden, there's a clear standard of what we're offering to them, and it's aligned with what they need from compliance. So I think on a lot of levels, it's incredibly beneficial, and it's encouraging for us to be able to have that already in place.
Can you tell me a little bit about your approach to backup and recovery?
Absolutely. So the majority of our clients are in coastal communities. So, we're in Wilmington, North Carolina. So we have had our history of hurricanes and we are very familiar with, sort of natural disasters, if you will. So I'm a strong believer, if you have on-prem servers and devices that need to be backed up, we were kind of all in several years ago on the full BCDR solutions. I think, going all in with Datto on that has been a huge, huge benefit to our clients, to us having, very, very quick recovery in the event there is an issue and having, just that extra set of data on site as well as in the cloud and to be able to see it real time, I think is really important to us and to our clients. The other part of that is having solutions that, not everybody needs full BCDR. Right. And every use case is a little bit different. We have some clients that have enormous amounts of storage and it doesn't make sense logistically. So having solutions like just data backup and putting everything in Kaseya to be able to have endpoints that are highly critical also backed up and recoverable, for us that's extremely important. And what we found is having a solution that gives you really good protection and insight into what's going on, the level of stress that it takes off from our team and us, and really the client, sometimes they don't know the difference between all the solutions. But being very clear on what we're offering them has been a huge benefit to us. And I think the clients that we've done a really good job explaining it to, they really see the difference.
Yeah. You said BCDR saved the day, maybe sometimes.
Yeah.
Please tell me a bit about how that acted out, maybe an example of that.
Yeah, the best example I can think of is we have an oral surgical practice. They schedule patients out back to back to back, particularly in the summer when students are out, and so they can have a morning that starts 7 a.m. They can start their first patient 7:30. They have these surgeries sometimes scheduled months in advance, right? So we had a situation where the server under warranty, just decided to fail. Apparently, it happens still, and they're big on-prem server for the large amount of files and imaging that they use locally, and so that could have been a very terrifying, bad outcome. They had a data BCDR. We were able to convert it instantly. Like literally, our technicians over the phone did this, and we sent somebody on site to look at the server pretty quickly. But they were ready to go. They were seeing patients. Talked to the doctor on hand, made the call, and within 30 minutes had them up and running. And the entire practice, I might add. So to the point where they ran for several days and didn't really even know that they were running on the backup. The practice operated, completely normal. So for us, that was a massive win. Huge, huge. Like you look at what could have happened and the loss, the revenue loss, the stress. Like I've probably said this before, but the stress on our team had we not had that solution in place. So there's so many different ways to look at it, but man, it was a big win for us.
Tell me about AI. It's a hot topic. What are your thoughts?
Man, there's so many different ways to approach the subject. I'll start with the easy one, which is just operationally for us. I think, you know, the more that we can implement AI in our operations and continue to implement it, I think the better off we're going to be and more efficient. We talked about efficiencies. I've heard a lot about efficiencies. I think having AI to sort of help with that is one of the best things we can be doing. So whether that's in, ticket automation, in communication with our team, I have a younger team. Sometimes it's a challenge for them to communicate at the same level, but having AI that takes our core values and all of our who we are as a company and helping them with that methodology use AI to sort of help them in their communication has been really beneficial. I think there's a lot of ways that we can now take what we're learning and what we're doing, and we're now turning it into services for our clients and able to have conversations with them to say, hey, we're seeing these efficiencies because of what we're doing. How can we help you implement that within your own business? So AI as a service, I think, is going to be incredibly big for our industry.
So, can you tell me a little bit about how you think Kaseya Intelligence will impact your business?
I think anything that you can build into the stack where it has access to all the information while still protected, I think is going to be incredibly beneficial. It's really exciting because, a lot of times now our technicians are having to go to outside bits of information, like outside providers, outside vendors to do all the things. So if there was a way to make it more efficient and to have it like right at their fingertips, I think absolutely that's going to be a huge improvement on efficiency and the next step in our sort of evolution, as a company and operations of our help desk.
Tell me a little bit about your relationship with Kaseya.
Man, it's almost hard not to get emotional. I mean that seriously because for us, it's sort of we've watched Kaseya grow as we've grown along with the team, and I do look at it that way. Our account managers that we've worked with, and the team of executives and other people are much like our extended team. The being a part of peer groups that care. We have weekly owners meetings. We hold each other accountable. The people that I meet with, like, are generally some of the best people. I enjoy my time with them, and we have seen so much growth. Because you're right. I mean, being an entrepreneur, it is isolating. Sometimes it feels like, man, am I just doing this on my own? But to have that feedback in the peer groups and to really experience the success and sometimes challenges too, because we all face them together with other peers is just it's one of the best things. It's really great.
What's next for Earney IT?
We have really high ambitions and expectations for our company. We plan to continue to grow like we've been growing, which as you continue to grow as an organization, that's not the easiest thing in the world to do. So I might add, for us, it's a solid focus the next 2 years on just operational excellence and our customer service and our customer experience. So for us, it goes back to, hey, we've grown really fast. So let's take these great people that we've brought in, our now clients, and the team we've built, and let's continue to educate them and keep them running smoothly and do all the things that we can do. Certainly from my perspective, that's my goal, so that in the next 5 years, we're double, triple the company that we were just a couple years ago. So we're incredibly excited. I'll just say, acquiring another company, bringing clients in at that level is certainly on the books for us too. So efficiency, the more we can do that, the better.
What would you say to another MSP considering Kaseya?
I would say, you can look at us as an example of an organization that has implemented their tool stack and been really successful. And I think I would say go for it. I mean, I would wish them the same level of success that we've been able to see. Just like every product and solution, look at how they all integrate and work together. Sometimes as IT providers, we'll say, I like that and that and that. But sometimes saying, hey, what's best for our clients and what's the right solution, and then putting it together. How do they work? How do these pieces all work together? Is a really important question they could be asking themselves.
Well, Barrett, thank you so much for sitting down with me today and having this conversation. And I wish you the best of luck on the next chapter.
Well, thank you for having me today. Appreciate it.